The stars of American motocross roll into the Pacific Northwest. Amidst the backdrop of the regal pines and clear running water, the fury and passion of AMA Motocross is set to be unleashed. In a sport where fortunes can change in the blink of an eye, these men must be great for 12 rounds on the nation's toughest motocross tracks. Round 8 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship begins right now, live on Fuel TV. We're in the beautiful Pacific Northwest for round 8 of the 2011 Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. It's the Peterson Cat Washougal National. Hello everyone and welcome to Fuel TV's continuing live coverage of AMA Pro Motocross in 2011. Jason Wygant, of course, joined by four-time AMA National Champion Jeff Emig for what should be another exciting day of racing. We'll start today off with our 450 class and we'll give you the big picture storylines we're following in that division. It starts out with Chad Reed, who tried to fly at our last race at Millville and indeed found out he could not. He came crashing down hard but was able to recover and finish 14th in the second moto, preserving his series points lead. But not by much. It's actually very close now as Ryan Dungey and Ryan Villopoto went 1-2 last week, and they have cut significant distance into Chad's series lead. And Villopoto's feeling strong here at his home race in Washington. He was the fastest in qualifying. However, he has never won here at Washougal. So Jeff, let's open it up to you. We can talk all day about how great the track is here at Washougal, but let's just talk about the scenery and the atmosphere. This is one of the most fun events to come to on the entire tour.
Well, it definitely is, Jason. I tell you, when I land in the airport in Portland, I'm never so happy to see the Columbia River. I'm like Lewis and Clark as I, head up the river, make a left on Washougal River Road. It's such a scenic drive up here, and it just really sets the mood for Washougal Motocross Park and what this place is all about. But the racetrack here is incredibly challenging. Traction is tough. There's a lot of ruts here today. We've had a little bit of rain. Overall, just a fantastic day of racing, and these riders are going to go for it. We're into that final push to be AMA Motocross champion.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to it. And for more, let's send it down to the third member of our broadcast team, Aaron Bates.
Thanks, Weege. Well, we're here at the Pacific Northwest, and I am standing with the fan favorite, Washougal's very own Ryan Villopoto. Ryan, you've never had the best of luck here in the 250 class. This is like a new start for you on the 450. How do you think things are going to turn out being the fastest overall in practice today?
I think they're going to go good. We'll get out there and get a good start, put in some good laps, and see what we can do. I think things will go good today, and we'll just go from there.
Best of luck. And these guys have a lot cooler climates this weekend for you. Andrew, what is this like for riders lining up behind the gate, knowing what they're up against today?
It's beautiful here. The weather's good. Like you said, the track's the best I've ever seen it. They put in a lot of new dirt, added a new section up the hill, and it's wide. And the only thing we have to deal with is the shadows today.
Good luck to you today. And Ryan Dungey making your way in there. The bikes are being lined up right now. What's going through your head, and do you approach this race any differently than any other?
Just the same, really. I try to approach it the same, really. Just two-moto format, just focus on each moto at a time, have fun, and maximum points. I think it's important to get off to a good start, see what we can do, and have some fun.
One thing they all agree on today, this track is definitely going to be a challenge for them.
Here he goes to the inside, and Dungey takes Villopoto down. Last week, unbelievable racing. We're set for more now.
August 5th, Surf City, USA will be off the hook.
On the edge of their seats.
As the Nike US Open of Surfing takes center stage.
We can feel it in the air.
Watch the best surfers compete in the finals for one supersized check. The action continues when Converse Coastal Carnage and Nike 6.0 BMX pros battle for the top prize. The Nike US Open of Surfing live coverage all weekend long begins Friday, August 5th, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on Fuel TV.
Nat Geo Wild is the new network that gets closer to the animals everyone else is running away from.
That's incredible.
This summer, one man is looking for the planet's most perfect predators. And he's willing to pay for the privilege.
Look at that!
Yeah, the beautiful fir trees surrounding this, inarguably, I'd say, the most picturesque track on this tour. And we're going to show you the 411 on how we'll go motocross racing today on Fuel TV. For both classes, we will have 2 motos with 40 riders in each, and each moto lasts 30 minutes and 2 laps. We'll combine both those scores from those 2 motos to determine an overall winner. In case of a tie, the better score in Moto 2 breaks that tie. So that's the format. Let's give you the track map, brought to you by Kawasaki and the 2012 KX450F, fully equipped and race ready. Jeff Emig, take us on a lap.
Difficult start section here. Kind of goes up this really weird off camber. You shoot down now, you're at the bottom of horsepower here. Hill, you're trying to keep the horsepower to the ground. Actually, a new loop up there off to the left, adding some more drop-offs. Of course, the main Lucas Oil drop-off that if you get the whole shot, you drop down into just an ocean of spectators. Back up again, a couple downhills come down through the tight whoop section by the finish, which the old finish line area here, some new zigzags. They changed some of that section, but overall, the rain on Thursday has made this track awesome.
At the top of our show, we showed you last week's clip of Chad Reed, the 22, unbelievable crash that he took on and survived, and this week he told us about it.
It wasn't anything too crazy. It just, I was third gear wide open, and then suddenly, you know, the front kind of went first. And then when you watch it on TV, you know, the rear goes as well. But I didn't feel that. I just felt the front go. And then, so in my mind, all I felt was just a big jar of the handlebars. And then the next minute I'm flying through the air thinking that this is not good, you know, and trying to, you know, just comprehend that. And really, honestly, it happens so fast that you just act on instinct. I mean, you know, you think, you know, I can think about it now, and the fact that I was going face first, that's not a good idea. And instinctively, I tried to get my body rotated around so that I wouldn't land face first. And when you take a bad situation like that, I think I handled it pretty well. And I was winded bad. Just that was probably the worst thing, you know, just really, really winded. And when I was on the ground, I was trying to get my breath. And then, you know, as you're starting to get your breath, I do the body take, you know, the body count, you know, feel your arms, your legs, your wrist, and everything felt pretty intact. So once I regained my breath, my instinct was to get back on the bike.
Well, we'll definitely be watching Reed to see how he responds after that big crash. We were also going to watch this man, Mike Alessi, who's been solid this year, but in many ways, 4th place is the place you do not want to finish in a motocross race. You're fast, you're good, you're strong, but you're just off the podium where the big attention, the interviews, the sponsor plugs, and the bonuses come in, and that's where he has been the last couple of weeks in 4th. So yeah, we will see if Mike can get to the podium tonight.
Yeah, and Mike actually tied for 3rd. I mean, he was there, but needs a whole shot here today.
Yeah, he lost that tiebreaker for 3rd last week to Trey Canard. Let's go racing on Fuel TV. And there's the crowd going crazy because the 1 and the 2 are out front together, and it's the 2 going to lead him to Horsepower Hill. Washington's own Ryan Villopoto leading the field uphill.
Justin Brayton on the Nelson Milk Toyota bike got a great start also, and he's there in the yellow gear. Looks like Trey Canard squeezing him out.
Yeah, Canard on the red 41, moving to 3rd around Brayton and going after Dungey on the number 1, who is in 2nd. And Villopoto, who has a great majority of this crowd cheering for him. Well, they got something to cheer for. He's in the lead.
And that's huge as he drops down the main drop-off, like I said, into the ocean of fans right here. It's such an amazing feeling. First moto of the day here, and the fans are so fired up. And now they see the local boy, Ryan Villopoto, who has never won the overall here. He's won motos at Washugal in the 250 class, but he's never won the overall at his hometown race.
Yeah, and strangely enough, well, the 2 riders chasing him have had great success at this track. This man, Canard on the 41, dominated on a 250 bike in the 250 class here last year. As we watch Andrew Short on the 29 going after the 10 of Brayton for the number 4 spot. I was also going to mention Dungey has won this track several years in a row. So they have had success where Villopoto has not. We'll see if that changes today. Meanwhile, for Short, we have not seen him get a good start like this year, so gets to see the lead pace.
Metcalfe just behind, but where's our points leader? The number 22 with the red number plate, Chad Reed.
Yeah, nowhere near our leaders early on. We're going to try to hang our camera here and just see if we can find him. As you see, Michael Byrne, 26, making moves. There is Reed. That is outside of the top 10. Got a long way to go.
He's got a long way to go, and this is a difficult track to make passes on. They put down some water to control the dust. It's in pretty good shape, but they added a little additional water. So Chad's really going to get roosted bad here. And Jason, we did our own private track walk today.
Yeah,
and what I kept trying to emphasize to you, what the lines were like back in '92. Now, to emphasize how bad the roost hurts you. Now, you guys know I talk about roost coming off these 450s all the time. Having mud and everything stick to your goggle lens, you go through your tear-offs. But here, on Horsepower Hill, it hurts. It's like a shotgun blast that is just relentless all the way up these hills. So as Chad Reed is trying to work his way through the pack, which he most certainly will do as he's getting past the 235 at this point, it's going to be painful on your arms, in your neck area, wherever there's not some sort of padded or plastic guard on your body.
It's Kevin Rookstool on that 235 that he's battling with right now, and he makes the move. So good job by Reed to make one pass, and that's just a little less roost he has to take on, but he's got a long way to go, as we said, outside the top 10 while his rivals for the championship get away.
Well, the one thing that he can do, and I'm sure he will be doing it, as you drop down the main Lucas Oil drop-off there, is you get a good chance to see this whole horseshoe down through here when you go back up. And you'll get an idea, of not only who the riders are in front of you, okay, and you kind of, plan your attack on, how you're going to get past him, what type of rider it is, but you also get a sense of where the leaders are and of how many riders are in front of you. And for Chad Reed right now, he's seeing a lot of guys in front of him.
He's 14th right now. And like we said, that's Rookstool in the 235 battling right behind him. Villopoto grabbed the early lead in this one. He's got Dungey and Canard behind him. And then it's Brayton and Short battling.
And just in front of him, looks like Jimmy Albertson, the 108, riding a Rockstar Yamaha.
Yeah, switching to the Yamaha after being a Honda guy for the last couple of weeks. Also have the 45 of Vince Freeze. Let's show you. That is Byrne on the yellow bike. He is in 7th. Hahn on 12th, 8th. The 45 Freeze 9th. Albertson 10th. And Reed beginning to roll up on this group. So he might be able to get into the top 10 maybe by the end of this lap.
Yeah, and this was a pretty tight group today, in qualifying practice. Michael Byrne on that VTO Sports Suzuki qualified 11th, which was his best qualifying effort of the year. And this whole group here with Freeze and Hahn and everybody, it was pretty close. It was the battle to see who could get inside the top 10.
Get Reed continuing to make moves. And now going after the 108 of Albertson. Like we said, Albertson was a privateer a week ago on a Honda, got picked up by the Valley Rockstar Yamaha team. Behind Reed is the 76 of Partridge. He's on the DNA Shred Stick Star Racing Yamaha. He's their lone 450 entry. So a couple of different Yamaha teams sandwiching Reed as they drop back down.
And look, Reed's getting a little pressure here for Partridge.
Yeah, Partridge looking to make moves here on Reed.
I cannot explain how difficult it is as you come through the trees, in and out of the shadows. I'll follow up on that later. Aaron, what you got?
Well, guys, Chad Reed is making his way through the pack, and that roost definitely doesn't feel good at the moment. He said right before the start gate, he was making his way to the facilities to relieve any kind of nervousness, and he said he is stiff and sore. When I asked him on a scale of 1 to 10, he said he's not even going to worry about it right now. He's got to make it through today, and then he'll realize how bad the pain's actually been.
Well, that is the deal. Everyone saw last week how Chad got up after that horrific crash, rode to a 14th. You could tell that by the end of the race, he was a little bit off the pace. And I spoke to Chad on Sunday, and he's like, yeah, I'm a little sore in my thigh, my back hurts, I knocked the wind out of myself. But if you have to take any time off, that's when the body just seems to tighten up, and all the bruising in the muscles and all of the inflammation starts to set in. And I say it all the time, it's the next week that seems to be harder to execute and harder to race than actually that moto right after the crash. But here in this moto, Chad's going to loosen up some right now,
kind of get the cobwebs out. And if he wants to be champion in a couple months, he's going to have to be relentless with his charge here, and he's going to have to keep picking off riders, get as many points as he can, and make up for this bad start that he's got here. Get things back on track.
We've seen Reed manage these races very well this year and go strong all the way down to the final 2 laps. Fitness has been phenomenal for him this season. The beginning of the races, we've seen him struggle before, even when he did come in injured. But he can measure himself and know exactly when to apply the effort. This guy's applying the effort right off the start. Villopoto, 4-second lead.
Yeah, he's got a 4-second lead. He's turning 2:05.99. Dungey's fast is a 2:06.2. So these guys are absolutely flying, and trying to put it into perspective of where Villopoto's at right now. We were just watching Reed, who is in 11th. He's 28.6 seconds behind the leader already.
Yeah, and the last time around, Reed was 8 seconds slower on his lap time than Villopoto, who is absolutely flying on his home track. Chad Reed trying to dig himself out of a big hole here at Washougal, Washington's Peterson Cat National. Here he goes, the 22 to the inside.
Trying to work the outside here.
Jeff.
Yeah, trying to work the outside on Jimmy Albertson. Now, he was behind Albertson for close to 3 laps. Could not make the pass, and that allowed about a 4 or 5 second gap up to Michael Byrne, who runs an 8.
Yeah, so Reed is now 9th, getting around Albertson. And so I'm going to ask you, Jeff, Reed is one of the smartest riders out here. Has he figured, you know, to try to blow through these guys, is it going to work? I'm going to just use my fitness and just try to wear them down over the course of a long moto? Or is he in serious trouble right now being this far back?
Reed doesn't never seem to be the type that that panics at anything, but third, I believe, needs to be the goal. Now look at Ryan Villopoto here. You see the lines that he's riding? He was way on the right of the track. He was not apexing the shortest line through the middle. He's trying to find the smoothest line. And also, remember, we walked the track. Remember how I explained to you there were sections of the track where it's really hard packed and slippery, and it gets shiny right there. But if you stay off of that, you kind of get in that cushion, is where it's really tacky. And so he's digging the Kawasaki in at that point, trying to get those knobbies to dig in and, you know, turn to fast time. Now he just edged out Dungey last lap around, a 2.68. Dungey was a 2.6.
2.66 to a 2.68. So yeah, 2/10 was the difference that last time around. So Dungey is matching the times after on the first few laps Villopoto got away, and they put some big distance between themselves and Trey Canard, who just ran a 2:09.
Last race was the first race back for Trey Canard after breaking his leg. He came out the first moto, well, he came out qualifying practice, was the fastest rider. Came out the first moto up front. Yeah, we're going, wait a second, he is back.
Yeah.
And he admitted, hey, things started to happen really quick. So you can see right now he's turning a 2:09, the third fastest lap time, and he's finding his comfort zone right now. So pretty good ride for Trey Canard.
Pretty good ride here for Nettie, who is 4th in the series point standings and 4th in this race. And remember, last year he really came on strong in the second half of the tour, so he would like to do that again. And then behind him should be the number 10 of Justin Brayton. Aaron, what are you hearing on the number 10?
Well, guys, I was just informed by Jeremy Albrecht, the JGR team manager, that they are very happy with Brayton's performance, and he's strong throughout the entire moto, but what they've been working on is making him a little bit more aggressive and faster right out of the gate at the beginning of the moto. They worked on sprints all week long, and so far it seems to be paying off so early in the moto.
This week, see why Bruce Lee was considered the individual and how he changed the world. Don't miss the biggest names in sports and entertainment pay tribute to the master. Bruce Lee lives Wednesdays at 10 Eastern and Pacific on Fuel TV. Justin Brayton trying to master this track, but he's got some competition. The 29 of Andrew Short on that KTM 350 is right behind him. Short in 6th, Brayton in 5th. And Tommy Hahn will be coming up next, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm really noticing the riders are starting to expand their lines here, trying to find some smooth sections on the track. It doesn't look like that the bumps out there are really that big, but I tell you, on this race surface, if you can miss those sections, it just increases your speed and your momentum so much This track is very tricky, and notice this section right there in the middle where the soil's really light, right through there. Later on in the second moto, they're probably going to have to put down a little bit of water through those sections, and it's that. If you see those sections on the track, that's where the track is really hard and slippery, and there's no traction.
Couple of Aussies scrapping here now. You got the 26 of Byrne in 8th and Reed in 9th. The gap was 0.8 of a second, but Reed has closed up a little bit more than that as they go up Horsepower Hill.
Notice Michael Byrne was on an hour left on the Suzuki there, just trying to find a smooth line up Horsepower Hill, just really riding the edge. And you notice Chad too, he's going to always try a different line and not follow the leader here, once again because of that roost. And he's been working this outside line right here.
Oh, that one didn't work, but does he ever really have a choice, Jet? He just has to get creative?
Yeah, he's working hard now. You know Michael and Chad are pretty good buddies, but look at that. Chad just has got that hot line around the outside. Michael, of course, having one of his best races of the summer. That's going to put him back to 9th and Reed up to 8th.
Still, Reed would lose a ton of points if it were to end like this, although there's plenty of time to go. Look at the countdown clock top of the screen. We are not even at the halfway point of this race, and we'll have 2 laps beyond that. But if it were to end like this, Reed would go from first in the series standings back to third, because we do pay series points in each moto. Meanwhile, Short has closed up to the rear fender of Brayton, trying to get into that top 5. Past the finish line area, that distinctive set of Supercross style whoops, and now the S-turns.
Which this section here used to be the start-finish line to the track some years ago. I have to start talking in decades now, actually, but it's a really difficult track because you go right, left, back there, and you're always on the edge of the tire trying to find some smooth lines. But what an effort here by Andrew Short.
Short trying to get the 10, switching from right side to left side. There's a mechanic, Frankie, cheering him on.
I think he's got him.
And this is where it hooks onto the start in this decade, and he takes over the 5th place spot. Aaron, what do you have on Short?
Andrew Short is riding with a rear suspension reservoir on that KTM this weekend. Him along with Mike Alessi. It's something that this is the first time that they've tested it out. It came from Austria, but Andrew Short tried it this morning. He said he absolutely loves it, and team manager Roger DeCoster said it's up to you. If you like it, you can use it today. If you don't, you don't.
Is that a reservoir to the reservoir?
Something like that. Yeah, I'm sure that they're adding some volume to the shock oil, things like that, and just trying some new parts. And you know that with the addition of Roger DeCoster to the KTM team, that he brings a lot of experience, not only from his own racing back in the 60s and 70s and the multi-time world championships that he's notched, but one thing about Roger DeCoster, every team that he's gone to, he has led, coached, been the manager of. He has led them to the top of the mountain, to championships all the way through. And whether that's his ability to help with the bike, help with the technicians, the team members, and the mechanics, or gaining the confidence in the riders to hire the right riders and to give them the best equipment. So KTM on the upswing right now, and Andrew Short certainly showing some improvements this week.
Yeah, up into the top 5. One of the best runs this summer for Short. Dungey in 2nd, and did you see the green fender of the Kawasaki within sight? He is not letting Villopoto get away.
It's starting to close up. Dungey was a second faster than Ryan Villopoto last lap around. 2.4 seconds at the finish line.
Up Horsepower Hill, and this is the way it turned last week at Millville, Minnesota. First half of the second moto, Villopoto pulled away, and in the second half, Dungey reeled him back in, and that set up a fantastic race over the last few laps, and that's exactly what Dungey would like to have happen again, because he won that battle last week.
That was an impressive ride, and it's interesting, here you've got 2 different individuals. You've got Ryan Villopoto out front, who's had a couple of different trainers throughout his career. He's currently trained by Alden Baker, and Dungey, on the other hand, who is pretty much self-trained. And here they are performing very similar.
He's noticed one of the fittest riders out there doing it on his own, and we'll see if he can run down Villopoto and battle with him when we return.
TheHuts.com has the world's largest selection of snow.
Soil AMA Pro Motocross.
Watch the best Kung Fu cult classic films every Saturday only on Fuel TV. Late night at 12 a.m. Eastern and Pacific. Go to fuel.tv for movie titles. Are they going to be? Are they going to be part of that?
That's not a black belt. That's a studded belt there.
Wow. Okay. Thought they were doing some kung fu. All right. Speaking of that, we got a fight in our hands for the lead. Ryan Dungey has caught Ryan Villopoto, and this is a carbon copy of the last time these guys raced 1 week ago in Minnesota. Villopoto gets away, Dungey reels him back in, and now we have got a race in our hands, Jeff.
Dungey is definitely got the eye of the tiger at this point. You see Mike Williamson putting the board out for Villopoto. They also are getting into some lapped riders, and we saw earlier in the show here when Chad Reed was trying to make his way past riders that he was racing for position, but just how difficult it is at times to pass. Villopoto hasn't had to pass anyone until now, so we'll see how that affects him and how the lap riders respond to the blue flags as they get the flag signifying that the leader is coming by.
Now, Villopoto had an opportunity to make an excuse when he got caught by Dungey last week. They asked him after the race in the press conference, hey, did lappers hold you up? And he said, a little bit, but Dungey was the man to beat. He ran me down. I got hot. I got tired. If it happens 2 in a row here, does that start eating away at Dungey's or at Villopoto's confidence?
Yeah,
not able to hold a lead. Sorry.
Yeah, see right there, the 212 in that section. He in that tight S turn, you know, he's kind of racing for his own position. I'm gonna back him up on that. But when you see the leader come by, you really have to be aware of that. Take a look over your shoulder. Dungey lost just a couple of bike lengths right there. But hard racing here for the lead. You got to earn this thing all the way through.
That was Austin Albers. That was at 212. They were trying to get around. So for the moment, at least, Villopoto feeling some relief. But Dungey, and we know both these guys are in incredible shape. You mentioned before we go to break, you know, Villopoto's trainer, Alden Baker, arguably the best in the business. And Villopoto himself with 3 titles in the 250 class in his division. That obviously proves how strong he is. But Dungey, second half of these races, he has been strong.
He really has. And last lap around, they were about 11/10 of a second separated the two. So maybe this is going to fire Villopoto up. Sees the front fender of Dungey right there. Gets into a little lap riders. But right now is the time for him to get focused and stay strong mentally, not making any mistakes, keep hitting your marks. Think about what's in front of you, okay? Try to focus on hitting all of your grooves nice and smooth and not worry about what is behind you. And I know it's easy to say.
Let's see if the fans can boost Villopoto here as he goes up Power Hill. That might be the difference. Remember, Dungey had the home track fans powering him forward last week, and now it's Villopoto's crowd. And they want to see this guy get a win. He has never won the overall at this track. He has won some motos, and he's looking for another one here.
I know, and look at the way that he's riding. He is really just whipping the bike around, not really having any problems at all.
And into the S-turns. Here's the crowd again.
Five minutes to go, each plus 2 laps. If they are in the same position on the final lap, we may not even be able to hear those motorcycles. The fans are going to be on it.
You can see they are lining the fences, cheering on a kid that they saw grow up at this track. 50cc bikes, 65cc bikes, and they want to see him get another win, but there's a long way to go. And meanwhile, with the 2 Ryans getting away like this, Chad Reed going to lose a whole bunch of points. We did have a chance to talk to Reed about what it is like to race Villopoto and Dungey for this championship.
I've always said right along, I'm racing, you know, 2 of the baddest dudes that I've raced on outdoors. I respect them hugely, and they're going to bring it every weekend. When you look at them, they're 2 very different people. And they get the job done very differently. So I think the 3 of us bring a flavor that is individually different, and I think that for me that's what makes it fun. I'm almost 30, you know, they're in their early 20s, and I find it fun. And for once in my career, I see that being older is a good thing, and I'm a little smarter, and I can see things that maybe they don't. And I'm hoping that that'll help me out on a weekend that I'm not at my best.
Well, it has helped thus far because Reed is the series points leader, but that might not last. The Ryans may grab that series lead away from him by the end of this moto. But the real question now is, what order will they finish this moto in? Villopoto leads Dungey, and looks to me, Jeff, that Villopoto has responded to the challenge.
Certainly has, and hey, this is what it's all about when you're working with your trainer or when you're doing your own training, like in Dungey's case, is you are preparing yourself for these moments of the race. Now, right now, their heart rates are maxed out. Breathing is wide open. Okay, body's starting to hurt a little bit, but this is a time when that relentless training and motos, you try to overcome the pain, you try to overcome the obstacles, and when you're out training by yourself on the track doing your laps, is start to get a little bit tired, but you cannot let the lap times slow down.
Here is Reed, who I believe still is in the number 8 position. So I was wondering if maybe the second half of this race, the race would begin to come to him like it has several times this year. It has not, at least not based on the standards that he had set the first half of this tour, where he basically was in the top 3 no matter what.
Yeah, I was keeping an eye on trying to get a gauge here for Reed. He's turning a 2:13.9, and I was trying to said, okay, if he picks up his lap time a little bit, where's a good gap? And it was about 23 seconds to Metcalfe, who sets in 4th. But Metcalfe's turning a 2:12 and Reed's turning a 2:13. Brayton's in 6th at a 2:14. Hahn is in 7th with a 2:15, so it could tighten up right there for Reed.
More traffic for Villopoto. It slowed him up, and here comes Dungey again. Looking at 3, maybe 4 laps left in this moto. And Dungey is right where he wants to be. He has closed to the rear fender. This is his best shot at Villopoto since turn 2 of this race, when he was right next to him.
Well, now's the point here where Dungey's this close. He's going to start taking a tremendous amount of roost, and you have 2 choices. You can either you know, dig in and you know, take all that dirt that's coming off the back tire of Ryan Villopoto's bike and just try to tough it out and just put that pain out of your mind, or you're going to get close. It hurts, and then you back off once again. But just notice, he's not going to follow directly behind the number 2 on the way up Horsepower Hill. You are going to get a different line, I guarantee you.
Yeah, so you're talking about that dirt that is just being sprayed from Villopoto's back tire, and you say that of all the tracks on this circuit, this dirt hurts the worst.
Hey, during our private track walk, I picked up a piece of roost and I threw it at you. It was like, you know.
Oh, that was for educational purposes.
Yeah, that was purely, yeah.
Oh, well, Dungey picks the same line through here. And if he follows Villopoto, he's going to get hit by that stuff. Yeah, it gets real sharp, at least the one you found. And through these S-turns, though, does he have a choice? Does he have to stick with it?
Yeah, right through there. And Dungey is really quick through this section of the track right here. Hopefully Villopoto can use the crowd here to his advantage. They're cheering him on. They want to see the Washington native win this thing. But I keep wondering if Dungey, now that we're at the end of this 30-minute moto, plus 2 laps, if he's got into Villopoto's head a little bit, the fitness thing, okay?
Look at this, another new line from Dungey. He seems to be able to go wherever he wants and still maintain the pace and stay with him. Now just looking for an opening. Here we go.
You're looking at 2 of the world's best getting after it here at Washougal Motocross Park. Here you go, the whoop section heading into the finish line area.
This could decide this whole race. This section, we have seen passes coming down to the checkered flag before. It's not the last lap this time, but it still might be a pass for Dungey. He's on the outside, Villopoto the inside, and Villopoto beats him to it.
2 different lines through the S-turns. Oh, and Dungey goes down.
Grabbed a handful of throttle and lost the back end, and that should do it. And Villopoto got away with that one. Dungey almost made the pass. Villopoto shut the door. And you know what? You can look at the results at the end of this, and you'll never know that Dungey was there to challenge. Unbelievable.
Dungey turned a 2:10.9 and Villopoto was a 2:11.3, so it was about 4/10 of a difference, 4/10 of a gap. And let's take a look at the replay, how all this went down. And it was all set up by Dungey's charge through the whoops. But right here, he says, okay, I can't make it on the inside. Now I'm going to go way here to the outside. Tries to dig in, but the cushion was not there to hold him. As he got in there, said it looks deep, but it was really hard pack underneath it there. This thing isn't over, Jason. We still have 2.5 laps to go, and but I doubt if Dungey's going to put on the type of charge here with this gap. Certainly would have lost close to 8 seconds, 5 to 8 seconds on a fall like that.
What that illustrates to me is the kind of power these bikes have if it's misplaced. That was unbelievable how quickly that bike came around, and Dungey almost tangled.
I think he clipped him.
In midair. There was Astavkin, who he ran into, Stefan Astavkin, who came into collision with in midair.
That's the Russian rider, right?
One of them, yeah. We got a couple out here. Now, here's Alessi, who is our Fuel TV one to watch. He is in 9th. And what did Alessi say he needed to run for the podium at the beginning of our show? He needed a start. That has been his specialty in the past, but he didn't get one in this moto. And he's lucky to even get up into the top 10. Ooh, mistake from Alessi, but he has had to work to get into the top 10 after that bad start. So what has Alessi's season been like? We had a chance to talk to him about trying to get up on that podium.
What it's going to take to be on the podium is getting good starts, obviously. You know, the top 3 guys right now, Reed, Dungey, and Villopoto, they seem like they're always up front. And, you know, their bikes are good, obviously. So it's going to take a good start, running with the guys up front and trying to match that pace, you know, at least for half the race and being there with them. And to be there at the end of the race, be consistent lap times, be smart, no mistakes, and ride good, and then put myself in a good position. You know, if they do make a mistake or something happens, that I'm there to be there to capitalize and try and be on the podium. It's going to be tough. I mean, obviously the guys are going fast, so I just got to put myself in a good position and get good starts and keep myself out of trouble.
Well, the start is always key for Alessi. That is his trademark, the whole shots. They have not been there this year very often. But what I noticed in that soundbite is he said the goal is to get a good start running with them for a while and hope they make a mistake. So he's not planning on going out there and beating these guys top 3 straight up.
No, pretty much conceding the top 3 to the points. But hey, I mean, in AMA Motocross, anything can happen. This is Chad Reed, your points leader, who has been almost perfect all year long. And when he didn't get the start, he would always be able to ride up into about a 3rd or 4th at least. He's setting in 8th place right now, turning a 2:13. Only about a second off of his fastest, but really hasn't been able to pick up much time.
I think we've got a pass made. He's got the 12 of Hahn right behind him. Yeah, they just passed the stripe, so that will put Reed up to 7.
Ooh, and lap times really took a hit. Reed was at 2:15 and Hahn at 2:18.
Wow.
So Hahn dropped about 4 seconds on that lap. Coincidentally, that would drop him from 7th to 8th and give Reed another point.
Okay, so Reed salvaging points in this one. He's not able to run for the victory in this moto or even the podium, but just trying to score points. And meanwhile, with Villopoto and Dungey making up max points in front of him, that should probably bump Reed back to 3rd in the series standings when this moto is done. But how many times this year and throughout the career of Chad Reed have we thought, all right, this might be a signal that this guy is about to head to the back, and the next thing you know, he rebounds stronger than ever. So don't count Chad Reed out until this series is done and they've officially handed the plate to somebody else.
Yeah, the way it's set right now, Reed would need a 4th with Villopoto winning to keep the points lead in this moto.
Don't forget, this is a 2-moto format. We will have our second motos live on Speed coming up tonight. So Reed will have an opportunity to get some points back a little bit later today. Right now, though, Ryan Villopoto is going to make the home track fans happy because he's going to get the win. But like I alluded to, if he wins this one by a couple of seconds over Dungey, those results will not indicate the fact that they were battling 2 laps ago, and Dungey almost had the pass made. So maybe we're set up for a possible rematch later today in Moto 2, because Dungey definitely had the speed to run with Villopoto.
Wow, look at that line. Villopoto using the same line Michael Byrne used earlier in the race there, just really getting off to the edge of the track. You can see up here, this is a loop and a drop-off that hasn't been used in years. We had some rain this week, and so they felt confident enough that they could get enough irrigation and water up there to not have it be too dusty, but starting to dry out in some spots. But this area down here on this Lucas Oil drop-off, it seems to never dry up through there. It's always perfect because of the shadows. You know, the canopies from these trees just keep some of those sections just the dirt just moist all day long. But the shadows also, they make it really tough when you're going from the bright areas here, where there's lots of sunshine, into the darker areas. Plays tricks with your eyes.
Boy, you're not kidding, Jeff. He is going to the left of the track, all the way to the right, all the way back to
really
the left.
Was
wow.
Left to right.
It was as far as you can go. Now, you said this track is a little bit narrower than others in spots. So I guess a little bit easier to get to the left and right, but using every inch of it.
Yeah, you see Ryan taking a look over his left shoulder there, trying to figure out just where Dungey's at. Dungey's 8 seconds behind right now. So as I predicted, that fall was going to cost him a little bit. But white flag out.
Well, for Villopoto, he probably doesn't know what happened to Dungey. He just knows he's got the checkered flag and the win here at Washougal. Here comes Dungey, second place, but he knows he had the stuff to potentially go for the W. But it was in this turn that they're approaching right here. He went to the outside, grabbed too much throttle, lost the back end. We're looking forward to another classic Ryan versus Ryan battle later today in Moto 2. That one will be live on Speed. But for the moment, Ryan Villopoto, the man to beat, not only in this moto, but we believe he will take over the series points lead by virtue of that victory in another tough race for Chad Reed. And it has been a long comeback road for Villopoto, who was a little bit off the pace of the leaders in the first few rounds, but he is back in a big way. And third place, Trey Canard, going to put it on the podium again. Got to be happy with that.
Yeah, 46 seconds behind the leader, though. They're flying.
They really are. And Canard said he knows that championship intensity is pushing the Ryans to another level. Stay with us.
Wednesdays, 10.
Fans are pumped here in Washougal, Washington, because Washington's own Ryan Villopoto has won the first moto. And let's show you exactly how that happened. Here's our race recap. Villopoto gonna nail the start here, but he's got his rival Ryan Dungey right with him. See the 2 on the green and the 1 in yellow. And Villopoto's gonna edge Dungey out in this right-hander up the legendary horsepower hill, and the race was on. Meanwhile, Chad Reed, a terrible start outside the top 10. Here he makes a move on Jimmy Albertson on the 108 to get inside the top 10, but Reed would only be able to climb to 7th by the end of this one. Here he is making a pass on Michael Byrne in the same spot, just trying to salvage points. Definitely coming in here battered and bruised after last week's big crash. Now Dungey goes to the lead on Villopoto, can't get it there, and then watch this. Grabs too much throttle in an area where he just couldn't find the traction, goes down, and that allowed Villopoto to escape with a big lead down to the finish and a win in Moto 1. There you see Dungey on the 1. Final margin of victory, 7 seconds. And we'll show you the rest of the results. Trey Canard going to put his American Honda racing machine up on the podium in 3rd behind the Ryans. Another solid run for Brett Metcalfe in 4th. Andrew Short, one of his best races of the year, in 5th. Brayton leads Reed home. Hahn, Alessi, and Byrne round out the top 10. And we're heading down to the podium with Aaron Bates. Aaron?
This crowd is going absolutely crazy for Ryan Villopoto. And Ryan, we almost witnessed a carbon copy of what we saw last weekend with Ryan Dungey closing in on you late in the race. Can you come back stronger, and how much did lappers play a part in this first race?
You know, the track's always a little bit tough here, a little bit slippery. So when you do catch up to the lappers, it makes it hard to get around them. But you know, I had a great first race. You know, we'll go back, talk about some things, figure out if we want to change anything. But you know, the Monster Energy Kawasaki Dunlop tires got me off to a good start, and you know, hopefully we can get a win this next moto.
Ryan Villopoto one step closer to taking that first overall here.
All right, so that's our winner. We'll be back in a moment to talk to some of our other podium dwellers. Villopoto hoping he can turn this moto win into an overall later today.
Welcome back to Washougal, 450 Moto 1 in the books. Ryan Villopoto took the win, and Ryan Dungey picking up 2nd place. Ryan, we witnessed you lose traction out there on the late race attack against Ryan Villopoto. Can you take us through what happened?
Well, I got off to a good start. I was right behind Villopoto. He opened up a little bit in the beginning, but I was able to close it. But, you know, once I got behind him, I was trying different lines. It was kind of tough to get by, and I thought I had the pass squeaked, and he ended up shutting me off, but went around the outside of the turn, and I lost my rear. But good moto. Really looking forward to it. We had a good little pace going. Just got to thank the Rockstar, Makita Suzuki, man above, all the fans, and everybody. Thank you.
All right, I like this one. I like big talk. I like big sports. I like big tunes. That's why I watch Daily Habit. Wildest late night party on television, weeknights at 11 Eastern and Pacific, only on Fuel TV. Let's send it back down to Aaron with Trey Canard. Aaron?
Trey Canard got his 450 debut out of the way last weekend, finished on the podium. Trey, you got 1 week to go home and figure out, gauge yourself against your competitors. How much improvements can be made in 1 week?
I mean, it's tough, especially when these guys have so much momentum through the series. And you know, we're just taking baby steps right now, you know, trying not to get ahead of ourselves, but at the same time push it as much as we can. So, just thankful to be up here, and again, got to give it up to the Lord Jesus Christ and Honda, Geico, Showa, Fly Racing, Alpine Stars, Scott Goggles, Fleet Brace, and DC Shoes. Man, I'm just stoked.
Congratulations on a job well done.
Let's show you our upcoming schedule of events here on this tour. Fuel TV, of course, bringing you a highlight show every Thursday night after the race. So that'll be July 28th, this Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern with the highlights. Have a couple weekends off, and then we'll be back live at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time from Unadilla in New Berlin, New York. The highlight show Thursday night after that, and then Southwick, Massachusetts after another break. That'll be live at 1 p.m. Eastern time. All the 250 and 450 first motos for the entire season live on Fuel TV.
To the AMA Championship is a marathon, 12 rounds, 24 motos, spread out over 105 days in the hot summer sun. Even the best riders make mistakes.
Oh! Reed launches! We got trouble!
A slim 7 points now separates 3 riders at the top of the point standings. The drama of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship begins right now, live from Washougal, Washington.
We're just a half hour away from Portland, Oregon, as well as the scenic snow-capped mountains of Mount Hood and the Columbia River Gorge for round 8 of the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship. From Washougal, Washington, it's the Peterson Cat Washougal Motocross National. Hello everyone, Jason Weimer welcoming you to Speed's live coverage of AMA Motocross, our 450 class coming up in just a moment. Let's give you some of the big picture storylines we're going to follow as this championship chase keeps tightening up. How about Chad Reed? He indeed cannot fly. He tried last weekend at Millville, Minnesota. Big crash, came down to earth, bounced back up incredibly to finish 14th, but the points race has tightened up because Ryan Dungey and Ryan Villopoto went 1-2 in that race. So now Reed's points lead is down to the slimmest of margins, and just in time for Ryan Villopoto because this is his home track because he hails from Washington State. So the Ryans are beginning to stride, and Reed, meanwhile, has to try to bounce back from a very, very big crash last week. What's it like 7 days later for your series points leader? We had a chance to talk to him about that. Here's Chad Reed.
First moto, it was great. I won comfortably, and second one, I got a great start. I was second behind Ryan, and I felt like I had just a great push, a good setup for the day, and I love the sand whoops, and passed Ryan there, and I was set to try to get after it, and obviously after that, I came crashing to the ground.
He is fired up here in the number 22. Oh! Reed launches! We got trouble! Chad Reed is down and down hard!
The front kind of went first, and then when you watch it on TV, the rear goes as well, but I didn't feel that. I just felt the front go. In my mind, all I felt was just a big jar of the handlebars, and then the next minute I'm flying through the air thinking that this is not good. When I was on the ground, I was trying to get my breath, and then, as you're starting to get your breath, I do the body take, feel your arms, your legs, your wrist, and everything felt pretty intact. So once I regained my breath, my instinct was to get back on the bike.
Are you kidding me? Chad Reed is back on the motorcycle?
I'm 6 points up, and we got, 5 weeks to go, and I'm ready. I'll bring it and try and race these kids all the way to the end.
Well, Reed amazingly got up from that crash and finished that race in 14th place. He scored 8 points in that moto, and when you look at the series point standings, you see how big those 8 points are. He has a 7-point gap over third place Ryan Dungey and 6 over second place Ryan Villopoto. So for the moment, Reed has been able to stave off the challenge from the young Ryans. So let's give you more information on this race with a pair of progressive pre-race reports. Let's first send it down to Jeff Emig in the Kawasaki pits.
Back in May, Ryan Villopoto wrapped up his first AMA Supercross title. But the Motocross Championship this summer did not start the way that you wanted to. But now, we're here at Washugal. You're only 6 points down. What's it going to take to win this title?
I think it's going to take consistency, but I've been decently consistent, I think. But we just need to get some overalls, get some 1-1 finishes. We're making little improvements every week on the bike. you know, this is really my first full season of outdoors, so, you know, I think everybody's learning things that we need to improve on. But yeah, we'll get out there and, you know, go for those moto wins and overalls.
Now this track here in Washougal is your hometown race. You grew up only 2-3 hours from here, and you've never won the overall here. What's it gonna take to lock down the overall here today?
I think obviously good starts and, you know, just 2 solid motos, but it just seems like I've only been able to win, especially this year, just, you know, one or 2 motos. You know, I think for me, just like I said, good starts, consistent. We'll get out there and, you know, see what happens.
Ryan Villopoto looking for 1-1 moto finishes today. Will tie him at least in points and finally give him his first overall at the hometown track.
Ryan Dungey sporting the #1 plate as a defending motocross champion, and last weekend we witnessed him capture his 2nd overall victory of the season. Ryan, you did this in front of your Minnesota State family and friends, and we noticed that you were a more aggressive Ryan Dungey last weekend. What changed and why?
I don't think nothing changed. You know, I just try to get out there and get a good start and put ourselves in a good position. I think last week and being in front of the hometown crowd was definitely cool to pull off a win there. But I think at this point, just try to keep winning races, get maximum points, and get ready for the try to be there in the end and in the closing.
5 rounds left to go, 7 points behind. How do you approach these final few rounds?
Normal, you know, just the same as we have been. I think just try to keep at, you know, getting up to a good start each and every moto, taking one moto at a time, not getting too far ahead of ourselves. And team's doing a great job. Rockstar, Makita Suzuki, everybody on this half is doing awesome, and just got to keep plugging away and having fun.
Best of luck, Ryan Dungey. He's won here 3 years in a row. Looking for today to make it a 4th.
Now that you've heard from the 3 fastest motocross riders on the planet, it's time to drop the gate on round 8. Jason, Jeff, and Aaron are ready to call all the action when the Lucas Oil AMA Pro Motocross Championship returns to Washugal.
Emergency.
Welcome back to Washougal. We are almost ready for 450 Moto 2, but first let's check out our track map, brought to you by Kawasaki in the 2012 KX450F, fully equipped and race ready. Let's have at it, Jeff.
What a fantastic track we have, and as always, these riders talk about the start. You've got to get around this right-hander, up horsepower hill, over the top, and if you do that, I believe that that is going to be one of the key points to winning the overall in this second moto here. The highlighted section, of course, comes back downhill. You kind of go through some jumps, back up, back down into the shadowed areas of the track, make a tight right through the whoop section, through the Lucas Oil finish line, up this set of zigzags that bring you back around to the Makita Mechanics area. That's a lap at Washougal. Let's go on board with our GoPro on board. Now, what this illustrates, one thing is kind of the shadows of the track here. This is earlier today in practice. Also, if you notice right in the center of the top of your screen, there's a little bit of roost on the camera. Now, in this situation, you could pull a tear off and have a clean lens.
Let's show you the highlights of Moto 1, which was completed earlier today. Off the start, 2 of our 3 championship combatants are immediately into the #1 and 2 position. You've got the 2 of Villopoto on the green and the 1 of Dungey right next to him. Chad Reed, meanwhile, is buried. He gets stopped when another rider goes down in turn 2. Villopoto sprinted. He got away from Dungey on the opening laps, but Dungey just wouldn't give up, Jeff.
Dungey put on a charge, and he started to close it in, but his fellow Australian, Chad Reed, was way outside of the top 10. Passes another Australian here, Michael Byrne.
Yeah, and Reed had to keep digging. Here is Andrew Short making the move on Justin Brayton to get inside the top 5. Dungey was able to close in on Villopoto, but watch this. Grabs too much throttle out of that corner, loses the back end, and that essentially ended the battle for the lead. Villopoto takes the first moto win over Dungey, and Chad Reed struggled coming through traffic. Yeah, he made a couple of passes, but not as many as he wanted to, and the results in that one, he ended up, I believe, in the #7 position. So if you're Reed, you've got to make up ground in Moto 2. Here is your starting grid at the top. Pick your favorite. Watch for a couple of potential spoilers. Trey Canard, who was 3rd in that first moto on the #41 Honda. He has proven he can mix it up with these front runners. Let's go racing live on Speed. Same story, it is Dungey and Villopoto out front just like they were. But now you got the 800 of Mike Alessi, who knifes to the inside and gets to 2nd ahead of Dungey.
Chad Reed with a little better start. I believe he's 5th or 6th. Let's see as they come over the top of Horsepower Hill.
Dungey going to try to get Alessi back around the outside. They've also got Canard there with them in 4th. And Dungey knows if he's stuck behind a couple of riders, Villopoto can sprint early and get away.
Interesting part of the track there. They don't use that section too much. As you can see, it's pretty dusty. It's hard to get water up into that area.
Unbelievable what Villopoto has done with his starts today. 2 hole shots. But he's got his old rival, Mike Alessi, right there behind him. Dungey going after Alessi early.
But Dungey needs to make a move quickly on Alessi. He's got the speed to run down Villopoto, but if you let Villopoto get out front too far, it's going to put too much pressure on to make it happen quickly.
He's got to worry about Canard. Canard trying to get Dungey, and Dungey responds and holds off the 41, but he almost lost another position.
Jason, this is an extremely difficult time of the day to race here at Washougal. You notice the shadows from the trees. Great for the fans, providing lots of shade to keep them cool. But for the riders, as you come down into these sections, you see how dark the soil becomes now. They've worked on the track in certain spots. They've also laid down quite a bit of water in certain places. So this first lap, the track is going to be really hard and slippery. Tire choice is going to be important to have the right tire setup for your bike to compensate for that. Vision, of course, like I said, getting into those shadowed areas. And the final key is to be efficient. Villopoto was very efficient to first moto. He rode a great race. He's got lots of energy in reserves for Moto 2. He's going to need it.
All right, that was your Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com keys to the race. The key to the race for Ryan Dungey right now is to try to get around the 800 of Alessi. And we had talked to Alessi earlier today, and he told us he thought the key for him, of course, was a good start. Now, Alessi is known as one of the best starters in the business, but the last couple of weeks, we have not seen the 800 up front like this. He thinks if he can get one of these starts, he can at least keep pace with these riders for the first 15 minutes. That's his goal, to stay in the hunt, and he is right now.
Yeah, and I believe that the track...
Oh, Canard launches, and he scrubbed it, I guess, too hard uphill and came back the other way.
And this is a dangerous spot, Jason, because the riders are coming over that blind jump. Canard goes down hard. He is grasping his left thigh.
And he is just back from injury, and he had a broken leg. We hope that that has not aggravated that injury. Take us through this, Jeff.
Watch as Canard tries to scrub it, and the front wheel taps, so the front wheel stays up. He augers in the ground pretty hard, but as he's trying to scrub it, he's tucking the front wheel down, and it touches, puts him into a looped out scenario. When he planned on having the front wheel low, the front wheel came up. Horrendous crash here for Trey Canard, only a second race back after a broken leg.
Trackside medics are already there attending to him. Man, we hope he is okay. He was getting aggressive, trying to mix it up with Dungey. We figured that Canard and maybe Alessi could potentially be spoilers, and Alessi already is right now by running in between Villopoto and Dungey, and Canard wanted to be there as well.
Yeah, and to explain that scrub there, that's a situation where when you go over a jump, you lean the bike over on the takeoff, and so it takes your trajectory and flattens it out.
We are tossing the red flag out, and that means this race will come to a stop because, presumably, Canard is in a precarious situation, and they do not want bikes racing through that horsepower hill where he went down, Jeff, is one of the fastest sections of this track.
And that blind area, I remember a few years back, Mike Brown being involved in an incident there where a rider went down and he got hit squarely, or vice versa. It's a very dangerous area if someone's laying there.
All right, so Canard is still down, so the red flag is out. Obviously, you want to take every precaution that you can. Take us through this again, Jeff.
Pay attention, watch his front wheel as it taps right there, and it takes the whole momentum of the bike and the whole flow. Such a hard hit for Trey Canard.
Yeah, and obviously he is coming off a leg injury, but who knows? In fact, that could be a knee, it could be a hip, it could be anything. So, and plus you can see that side of the track, there isn't enough room to drive one of the medic mules up there. So we'll sort this out in a moment. We'll come back, re-rack it, and go racing live from Washougal. Stay with us. Wednesday night, the car show with Adam Carolla is all new, and it's man versus machine when the guys take on a computer-controlled Beamer at Laguna Seca. So don't miss the car show Wednesday night at 10 Eastern, only on Speed. That is quickly becoming my favorite show, and they've only had 2 of them so far. Meanwhile, bad news for the number 41 of Trey Canard. The Asterisk Medic team is attending to him. It was a huge crash that led to a red flag situation here before he went to break, Jeff.
Yeah, this was a really fast section of the track. A blind uphill jump where Trey was trying to scrub it. And what you do in a scrub is on the face of that jump, you lean the bike over and you kind of slide. Here's a look from behind. I want you to pay attention to his front wheel tapping. Right there, the wheel goes up, and see how it spins the rotation of the bike off from what he intended. Right there, it hits again, see, and then it throws the bike, rotates it the other way, and he goes over the bars, takes a pretty hard hit right there. This ground up here at Washougal is an extremely hard pack in that section.
Okay, well, it's good to see that they took all the safety precautions they could by red flagging this, so they didn't have to deal with riders on a very, very fast section of the track coming by with Canard just off to their left. And that means we'll have to reset this race. Man, that Honda team has definitely been snake bit. Their other rider, Josh Grant, is out with a knee injury, and Kevin Windham said he was burnt out and he was the replacement rider. I'm going to get him on the phone and bring him back. Speaking of being back, we will be back in a moment. Well, a chaotic opening for our second moto here live on Speed. Washougal, Washington, Trey Canard with a big crash. The medics have attended to him. We red flagged the race. We are ready to restart. We were 3 minutes and 39 minutes into that race, so we will remove 3 minutes and 39 seconds from the 30-minute race duration. That is his mom there on the left with the blonde hair, Carrie Canard. And unfortunately, this is a situation they have been in before. He did have a leg injury coming into this series. Aaron, any reports down there on Trey's condition?
Well, guys, not too much to report at the moment. We're witnessing him on the mule at the moment, getting loaded into the ambulance. But he is complaining of pain in the exact same spot in the left femur, which was the one that he recently had injured. So not too much to report, but what a tough day and a tough Washougal for Trey Canard.
Yeah, because the coincidence here is that in 2008, he was battling in the 250 class with Villopoto and Dungey and broke that leg for the first time at this track.
Yeah, watch it right here. He gets up over the front of the bars, and then right there when he hits the ground, that's the impact on the leg.
Man.
And so here we go. Villopoto and Dungey are going to re-rack this thing. Now Reed, he was 7th on the first lap, so he started just outside of the top 5 on the first start here. Fellow Australian Michael Byrne had a great start. He was up inside the top 5 also. For Chad Reed, this may be the do-over that he needs to put himself back in there. And I'm telling you, if the 1 gets in front of the 2 off of this start, both motos, they drag race. It was like a carbon copy.
Right.
This might be what could change this whole thing. And remember, Villopoto's never won here. How frustrated could it be if it went negatively on his part?
Yeah, exactly. He had the whole shot. And as we like to say, will justice be served? Will he have the whole shot again?
Let's see. He's going to have to earn it. I mean, he is so on today.
Yep.
His corners are flowing. The starts are great. Kawasaki looks like they've got the bike dialed in for him. Trying to get the monkey off his back here.
And there is Dungey lined up, and you can see the missing gate position. That was Canard.
Canard right there, 3 to the inside.
Because they do pick their gates by order of where they finished in the first moto, and Canard did finish 3rd in that moto.
Now also, if you remember off the first start, that rider that was on the far outside, he actually had a problem with the bike where it didn't start. And that was, I believe it was
Greg Crater,
one of the locals.
So a couple of reset chances for riders like Crater. For Reed, who didn't get the start he wanted, even for Dungey, who was running 3rd when we red flagged it. We are re-racked and ready to go racing again here at Washugal. And I don't think Villopoto's going to get it this time. It's Dungey out front, although Villopoto and Justin Brayton of the number 10 right there, and Reed tucks in on the inside.
Chad Reed tucks in. He's right there next to Brayton as they drag race up Horsepower Hill for the 2nd time here in Moto 2. Dungey making good on the restart out front.
And Dungey launching and then landing in those ruts. He is putting on a full sprint on this first lap.
And this will put the pressure on the number 2 of Ryan Villopoto. There will be a sense of urgency knowing that, hey, Dungey's been sharp here and he's been strong the last couple of weeks. Now I'm going to have to work extra hard here in front of my hometown crowd to try to win my first overall here at Washougal.
And Brayton doing a good job on the Muscle Milk Toyota JGR bike in third, holding Reed back. They're sorting out their lines, figuring it out, as you got the 1 of Dungey and the 2 of Villopoto reversed from where they were before the restart. Villopoto is coming after it.
Wow, they are all over the track trying to find some good lines. Moto 1, these riders started with a fairly fresh track, not too many bumps. By the end of that race, it was extremely rough everywhere. And you add on the fact that here at Washougal, the roost coming off of the rear tire, that dirt that sprays up, hurts more here than any place on the circuit.
Look at Villopoto trying everything to get around Dungey, and he almost does. That is a turn where there's usually not room to make passes, but he gave it a run.
He's fired up, Jason. There's a sense of urgency also. This is for the overall.
And now he's going to go to the inside. Dungey on the outside.
This is only the first lap.
Yeah.
And they're riding at an intensity level and with the urgency of the championship being on the line.
Well, it's almost a chess match here right now because Villopoto has been very quick through the first half of these races. The second half, as of late, Dungey has been the man coming on strong. So I think Villopoto knows if he didn't pass him in the first half, it could be tough to get him in the second.
I'll tell you what's going to be tough is for anybody to catch these guys. Reed is up into second, but look how far behind he is. When we get a wide shot, try to find Chad Reed in the background.
Unbelievable. Yeah, they put several seconds on him as he was battling with Brayton, but I don't know if that was Brayton holding him up or just the fact that Dungey and Villopoto are on it right now out front.
I'm telling you, having Dungey out fronts like this just adds this level of intensity for Villopoto. You can see how determined he is. He is riding the outsides, the insides, whatever it takes. He is finding smooth lines. He went from left all the way to right to the outside here in that turn. Look at the riders zigzagging all over the track here to try to find a place where they can apply the pressure, the power of these 450cc engines.
Well, he's applying the pressure too, don't kid yourself. And look at the fans there along the fence line cheering for Villopoto, the Washington State native, who again has never won here at this track. Meanwhile, Dungey has 3 consecutive wins, 2 on a 250 bike, and last year on the 450s. But of course, Villopoto was not here last year. He was out injured. So really hard to pick a winner in this battle. And a little mistake there from Villopoto, and that allows Dungey to squirt away just for a moment. But you know Villopoto's going to try to bring some more heat.
No doubt, but Dungey has been so smooth today, even through the 2 qualifying practices. I was so impressed with his patience and his speed that he was riding relatively easy, but his speed was there and his lap times were fantastic.
Here's some speed. The 24 Metcalfe, Rockstar Makita Suzuki, manages to put it in front of Brayton. So Metcalfe going to 4th. He wants to measure himself against these 3 riders who've been dominating the series, and that is Villopoto, Dungey, and Reed. Metcalfe has a chance here running in 4th, and Reed is in front of him. Then it is Brayton, Hahn, Jimmy Albertson, Jake Weimer. Mike Alessi is 9th, and that's probably the rider who came out the worst end of the deal with the restart, obviously besides Canard, who was injured. But Alessi was 2nd on the first start and is now 9th.
Yeah, he's right there, and he's followed, rounding out the top 10, Michael Byrne, who was 5th on the first start. So they had a 2nd and a 5th. Now they're 9th and 10th. But it's it's a do-over for certain riders. Look at Tommy Hahn here on the Moto Concepts Yamaha, putting in a fantastic ride. He's had some really good speed, but he's also hit the mat a couple times this season.
There's Alessi trying to make up for that bad start. He's got to battle Jimmy Albertson, who last week was number 108 on a Honda and is now on the Valley Rockstar Yamaha team.
Watch this as Albertson goes to the far left. Alessi's like, okay, I got to get over to my right here, and I got to get out of the roost because up horsepower hill on a 450. That stuff hurts, Jason.
There goes Alessi to the inside.
Wow.
And he gets aggressive. You don't often see that out of Alessi, but that sense of urgency that you keep mentioning, they are all feeling it early in this one.
Well, and it's a sense of urgency, and when you have that, your intensity just increases, and you just are fired up. Like the riders at the front right now, Dungey was a 2:09, Villopoto was 2 seconds off at a 2:11. The group we're watching right now with Weimer is a 2:16, Alessi was a 2:15, and then Byrne is a 2:17. So you can see quite a bit of difference because Dungey is out front flying right now, and he, like I mentioned earlier, he's almost the most patient, it looked like. So I think that there's something to that here on this track at Washougal, to setting the fast lap times, to being patient, flowing through your turns.
Here is Alessi attacking Weimer, who had another disappointing first moto. He finished 15th. Had a crash at one point, was out of the top 20, trying to recover here, but no time to recover because Alessi has taken the position away. So that will move Alessi up to 8th.
Yeah, that's a big disappointment right there when you get to start, say, okay, what can I do with this? And then riders are starting to go by you. It's frustrating because at that point it becomes so mental, and your mind, the gremlins just come into your mind, and you're trying to put it all together. And in this situation, I talk about when things start to happen fast in your head. All of a sudden, you know, you're turning, Weimer turned to 2:15 lap time, but in his head, the speed was going like he was at a 2-minute flat, you know, and then that starts to, it gets hard to focus at that point.
Okay, so after taking on a lot of pressure from Villopoto to the first lap and a half, Dungey has settled in, turned in a fastest lap of the moto so far with a 2:09, backed it down to a 2:10, but Villopoto was only able to match that, so the gap is at exactly 2 seconds between those two. But look at the clock at the top of the screen. 20 minutes and then 2 laps to go. You've got to figure that Villopoto is going to have another attack in him before this one is over.
Did you see Dungey there? That inside line right there, he went through that, I mean, perfect execution, just so smooth through there. Applied the throttle, coming back up the hill into the shadows.
How about this? Metcalfe challenging Reed for 3rd. And we went over and talked to Reed's team between the motos, and I don't know, they weren't saying that he felt injured, but you have to wonder if Reed is indeed at 100% after that big crash last weekend. Although, to Metcalfe's credit, he definitely has been stepping up over the last couple of weeks. Right now, he is giving the 22 all he can handle.
Yeah, no doubt. Metcalfe has been getting a little better with each passing race, and as you get deeper into this championship, you know, historically, Metcalfe is really good at the end of the season. We saw last year when he locked up 2nd place in the championship in the final round, where him and Andrew Short were battling it out. I do believe that Chad Reed, though, there's a little edge taken off, a little bit of that intensity and the comfort level at that pace that he's been on the last month or so. Doesn't quite have that spark and that intensity that he had the previous weeks.
And Justin Brayton, who is in 5th with the number 10, they haven't dropped him. He is still there in some of the tighter sections of the course, so they got by him quick, but he's trying to hook on. Look at Metcalfe all over Reed through these turns. And then you've got Brayton and Hahn, and these two were in a battle in the 2nd moto last week in Minnesota. It's kind of funny. It's a thing in motocross where almost no matter where these guys start, they end up hooking up in the same positions. Oh, Metcalfe has made the move on Reed, and that is huge in the championship standings.
2 points here, the difference between 3rd and 4th, but I'm telling you, and when you look at the whole championship, as close as this is, those points are so valuable.
All right, we've been talking about the 22, but what about the 24? Aaron, what are you hearing on Metcalfe?
Brett told me that that was the best moto of his entire season during moto number 1, where he finished 4th. He said it gave him back the confidence that he needed, and he's got some swagger in him. But you guys were mentioning how good he is through the corners right now. They did dial in the suspension. They made it a little bit stiffer. It's supposed to help him out, and apparently it is so far.
Now, if they're going stiffer with the suspension and the chassis setup, that means because of the track getting rougher, okay, more pressure on the suspension coming down those hills, he'd be getting into a situation where the suspension is bottoming out. Watch right here. Yeah, he's going to get to the inside right here. Watch, he just nails that turn, leans the Suzuki over, and just edges out fellow countryman there from Australia, Chad Reed. Pretty intense riding right now for Metcalfe. He looks really strong on the bike.
Now, Metcalfe said he had injured his wrist in Supercross, and he said when he was doing his outdoor testing, he was not quite at 100% speed, and he thinks that that kind of misled him on some of the settings, because as the wrist got better and he started riding faster, that setup didn't work anymore. So this whole year has been somewhat of a work in progress.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, the faster that you ride the bike and the harder you ride it, the harder that you'll land, the harder that you'll drive the bike into the braking bumps and the acceleration bumps. So you'll have to firm up the suspension, right? Make it harder to press, you know, the bike down. The slower you ride it, the softer that it can be, the more plush that it would be. So faster you go, the stiffer it is.
Don't count Reed out, though. He wasn't the points leader, at least coming into this race, without good reason. He is one of the smartest riders in this game. And again, he knows how to measure the effort. Looks like he's going to camp out here on that rear fender of Metcalfe and maybe launch an attack in the second half of this race. We'll see what happens. Can Reed run with Metcalfe, or is he going to be bumped off the podium? Stay with us.
When it's time to get ready to ride.
Ryan Dungey trying to spoil the home track party for Ryan Villopoto. He is leading here in moto number 2, and if he wins this moto, he wins the day's overall victory. And it all came down to the start. That's why he has the lead. Let's give you the progressive whole shot replay. Jeff?
And the progressive restart at this point, because Villopoto had both hole shots leading into this, but this one, Dungey gets the wheel on him. I predicted, I told you, I think if Dungey gets out front, that is going to be the key to the race. So far, so good. That combined with the effort and the great ride that Dungey is putting in, he's got 12 minutes plus 2 laps on his way, if he can lock it down, to his 4th Washugal overall in a row. 2 in the 250 class, 2008, 2009, and of course last year here in the 450 class.
And that 2008 win for Dungey at this track was his first ever in American motocross, and he did it in a very similar situation to this. He was out front. They had to get around Trey Canard, ironically enough. They got around Canard, he and Villopoto chased Dungey all the way to the checkered flag, but Dungey never made a mistake, didn't leave the door open, got that win, and really that launched his career to another level. And he's got a whole bunch of championships since then. Let's catch up here with Mike Alessi, who is in 7th. And again, Alessi was 2nd. He was splitting Villopoto and Dungey early until they had to red flag this race and restart it. So again, besides Canard, who was down and injured, if anyone had trouble by having the crash and the restart, it's Alessi. Because he might have been able to run for the podium today, but instead he's just looking to make his way up into the top 5.
Yeah, and Alessi has turned a 2:13.4 in this race. Right now, last lap around, he was a 2:15.7, so drop up the pace a little bit. And if you notice him, he's kind of searching around for some lines right now, trying to keep the motivation up. And it's difficult when there's no one in front of you, no one behind you, and you've got that gap. You know, you don't really have that motivation from another rider being around, as opposed to Andrew Short right here, who's got a lot of pressure here with Weimer, and looks like just behind Weimer is Albertson.
Short, one of his best races of the year in the first moto today, finished 5th. Now he is up to 8th behind Alessi and right in front of Weimer, who's 9th, and Jimmy Albertson in 10th. Pretty impressive for Albertson right behind them. Transition from a Honda last week, and then real quick got a test ride with Valley Rockstar Yamaha. Did a test with him, and they put him on the bike for the race, so he's racing on an entirely different brand and team than he was 7 days ago, and he's in the top 10. There you see him on the blue.
Well, yeah, and Andrew Short is on a different machine than most other riders, too. He's riding a 350cc KTM. They actually have Mike Alessi on a 450, and so Short out here with a little bit lighter bike, a little more nimble, a little less weight, but it also has 100 cc's less displacement.
Well, a lot of speculation about next year, just to add more drama to this title chase. KTM has admitted they are making a serious run to try to sign Ryan Dungey to this team next year. And
certainly sounds like a good move, good place to go.
Yeah, you would think the guy with the #1 plate who's winning the race might be one of the free agents you'd want to sign. They do like Andrew Short. They'd like to bring him back. He doesn't have a guaranteed contract to come back next year, but they do like him. But a lot of people wondering if they bring back Dungey, if they bring back Short, or even Alessi, will they be on 350s? Will they be on 450s? I guess time will tell. Right now, the 450 Kawasaki is right there against the 350 KTM of Short. And Aaron, what do you hear about Andrew Short?
Well, we already spoke about the rear suspension reservoir that the KTM team is running today, and so far it is working for Andrew Short. He said The bike feels completely different. It's got an entirely different feel to it. It's stiff, but it's working for him. But he said that he got his momentum back during that moto, is the best moto of the season, and he's looking forward to continue on throughout the rest of this season.
And Andrew has been racing with some distractions. Certainly a get well soon to him and his wife Jackie, their son Hudson, who has had some surgery on Friday. Certainly we hope for the best for his team. But he's got to come out here and do his job, which is race on weekends, and doing a good job of it today with that 5th in Moto 1 and in the top 10 here. Let's go a little bit further back. We talked about Albertson on the 108 and the 592 of Jake Canada, who also was pretty much unsupported privateer early in this tour. Came out, rode well about a month ago in Colorado, and picked up a spot on the Moto Concepts Yamaha team.
So a couple of replacement riders here for each team on these teams, and I tell you, I mean, I never had to switch motorcycles during the championship.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough enough just trying to be used to your bike, and the teams work so hard with the riders to make the practice bike, the race bike, the test bike, everything feel the same every time they get on the bike. In motocross, this is the type of sport where you have to ride. You have to be on the seat and get seat time to feel comfortable, because everything becomes so instinctual, and the bike becomes like a part of you, where you work as one with the machine. And so for these riders that are switching up bikes during the championship, that's really tough to do, to get used to that and to get that feeling, especially because the Yamaha being a completely different design machine than every other bike that's out there, it has a totally different feel.
A little bit further back, we see the 26 of Michael Byrne on the BTO Sports Butler Brothers Suzuki. And we saw his teammate, Jason Thomas, who is injured out with an ACL injury, but he is here today to help cheer his teammate on.
Yeah, and Michael Byrne actually just made a couple passes in the last lap or two, got past Simmons and Rookstool.
Then you've got Rookstool, 235, and then Ty Simmons, a young Australian on the J-Star JDR KTM. That's also a 350, right behind Nick Way, also on one of those Valley Rockstar Yamahas. And they're coming through that famous whoop section here, and behind them, the H67 of the Swede.
The Swede!
Yeah, Frederick Noren on the MX Heaven backed Honda. This is a good battle here.
It definitely is, and Nick Way, popular rider, veteran of the sport here, very popular around the pits in the industry. Found a great spot here with this team, but
Weimer won't give up.
He's looking for a spot.
Now he was in front of Short at one point. Short got him, and Weimer wants that back. Here we go, up Horsepower Hill.
Now watch Weimer, bam, right there. He gets out of the roost, trying to get the horsepower from the 450 Cowie past that 350 KTM. I'll tell you what, though, the 350 looked pretty good up to Horsepower Hill. And I do think that this is the type of track where the 350 would perform very well, because it's not that deep, okay? There's not a lot of topsoil that drags the horsepower out of the engine, where you really need a lot of torque. If it's deep and muddy, the torque really pays off. But here, it's really hard packed. Horsepower would be the most important thing. And I spoke with Roger DeCosta earlier in the season, and he says, look, horsepower, we're there. It's the torque that we're having problems making, and that's just a displacement. You know, there's no replacement for displacement.
Yeah, and in Europe, KTM races that 350 bike with great success, and that was one of the things that almost confused the team. Why can that bike race heads up against 450s in Europe and not the US? And some of the theories are because they prep the tracks differently here. Well, and when you dig that soil up deeper, what do you think?
Yeah, also, well, let's take a look at our leader.
Let's take a look at Tunju's on a 450 Rockstar Makita Suzuki, and he has extended it over Villopoto in a big way, 10 seconds. So I theorized at the beginning of this race, the way Dungey has been very strong in the second half of the motos as of late, that if Villopoto couldn't break him early, that he might not be able to do it in the second half. And I don't know if he can. Time is running out for Villopoto to put in a charge and finally get a win at Washugal. Wins. He started behind his rivals. He passed him. American trucker Rob tests his mettle by working a full shift for an independent trucking company, then hits the road in search of 60 vintage big rigs. Don't miss American Trucker Thursday night at 10 Eastern on Speed. Ryan Dungey is checking out here in the second half of this moto. He has a 14-second gap over Ryan Villopoto, and the second half of this series has been his so far. He won the first race of the second half last week in Minnesota, and it looks like he might win this one. Wait a minute. Jake Weimer continues to attack Andrew Short. In the latter moments of this race, we have 1 minute and then 2 more laps in this one. Short cannot get away.
I like seeing this out of Jake Weimer. He's had some struggles this season, and I just really didn't think that his intensity was there, and his, obviously his comfort level hasn't been there. This is his first season on the 450, but man, he's letting it all out right here in the second moto at Washougal, and you can see he's using quite a bit different lines than Andrew Short is, trying to find a smooth line in some place to lay down the power here from the 450.
Yeah, this is a private duel. Alessi, who is a little further up the track in 7th. They can't see him, and then the rider behind them, Albertson, is about the same distance back. So it's just the 2 of them in a battle for 8th and 9th.
And their lap times reflected. 2:15. Hahn, who's actually up in 6th, he's a 2:17. Brayton, 2:18. Reed, a 2:19. And 8th and 9th are still laying down 2:15 lap times.
Well, even Villopoto's only laying down a 2:15. They're actually matching the speed of our second place rider because they are pushing each other hard. Here we go through this whoop section. And Short still holds Weimer off, and they did not get there by the time the clock had expired. So it'll be 3 laps to go, and then after this lap, we'll get the 2-lap board, start counting it down.
I'll tell you what, if I'm Weimer, I am sick of taking the roost off of the back of this bike. Because, I mean, I remember riding on a 125 here where there was very little roost. You didn't have to worry about it. Then when I stepped up to the 250 class, which is what this class is now, 252 strokes back in the days, the roost hurt pretty bad. Okay, now a 454 stroke, these things are monsters. The tire is actually wider on these bikes than when I raced a 252 stroke in the same class. There's so much horsepower and so much torque that the tire companies just had to build bigger tires. Bigger the tire, bigger the roost, you know?
Here we are uphill. That was Weimer's mechanic, Dana Wiggins. Pretty fast rider in his own right back in the days.
Wiggins 92, buddy.
Really? Okay.
That was his year.
All right. And he told Weimer to fight, and that's exactly what he's doing. And this is good to see. You know, it's not just the guys up front that are putting in the effort. You can't say that these guys didn't leave it all out there the way they're fighting all the way down to the checkers in this moto. 2 laps to go for Dungey. And as I was saying, second half of this series, he's looking for 2 in a row. And he should tie Villopoto on points for the day. So he came in here 1 point behind Villopoto. That was 2nd and 3rd in the series coming in. Now they'll be 1st and 2nd. They will overtake Reed. There is Villopoto, who should lead as the points leader by the slimmest of margins, 1 point.
One thing that Villopoto will not leave with is momentum and that confidence if it finishes like it did. Now, on the other hand, Metcalfe here, 24, huge confidence booster for the runner-up in last year's championship. But for Villopoto, it'll be a tie in points for 1st. He will be your points leader, but he'll know that Ryan Dungey put in a solid ride. And, you know, barring any sort of, you know, a mechanical or something that's gone on that we don't know about, Dungey will have the momentum leaving this event.
Now, let's not take anything away from Chad Reed. I know you've seen that crash over and over and over, but the reason we keep showing it to you is to give you an idea of the struggle that he faced this week trying to recover from that. And he is back in 4th place now. This is last week, Chad Reed in the lead early in the second moto. And just as brutal as it can possibly be.
Reed takes such a hit there. Knocks the wind out of himself when he hits here. Wasn't sure. See, he hits a big kicker. Front wheel goes, then the rear wheel goes, and it just ejects him.
Wow. And to give you an idea, as he got back into the race, we were in shock. When he was in midair, I thought that might not be the end of his season, but it might be the end of the career for Chad Reed. He's almost 30 years old, which is getting up there for this sport. And if he was going to lose a year or so with a back or leg injuries, I don't know if we would have seen him return to the track.
Well, and he's had to regroup. In 7 days, he's had to get back out on what could be a difficult track here if you don't execute properly. His body's sore. Wasn't really letting on to us, but I did talk to him. He says, look, I'm sore, I'm stiff here and there, but hey, I'm not going to worry about that. he knows that this is a damage control type weekend, and so a 7-4 on the weekend is damage control in my book.
And we will have 2 full weekends off, so plenty of time for Reed to rest and recover.
Exactly.
And with 4 rounds, 8 motos left in this championship, he can close back in on these guys. But Ryan Dungey, what did you say before? Momentum. Even Reed coming back healthy, it's going to be tough to tackle this guy.
It certainly will, and Dungey finally has found his stride, has a great weekend here. Even in the first moto, when he had caught up to Ryan Villopoto, who led the whole race, it seemed like that Dungey could go anywhere he wanted on the track, take an outside line, all that didn't work, but he still would be right on Villopoto. Try an inside line, make a mistake, whatever, he'd still be right on it. He goes down trying to make a pass, but huge statement here in Moto 2, and man, this is a huge momentum swing in my book. This has been a great day of racing for Ryan Dungey.
Well, you know, Dungey gets a lot of flack because every time he's asked questions, he pretty much gives you the same answer, but is that not what is paying off for him right now? The first half of the year, everyone's saying what's wrong, he's last year's champ, he's not getting the wins, what is the problem? What does he need to do? And he just kept saying, I'm just gonna keep doing my deal, doing my deal, doing my deal, and lo and behold, is just doing his deal not starting to pay off for him now? He didn't reinvent the wheel, he didn't change much.
Yeah,
just kept plugging away.
This may be Villopoto country, but he's got some fans out there. When he dropped off that Lucas Oil ski jump, they're definitely cheering him on, because even if they're Villopoto's fans, you have to respect this ride here today, because Dungey has flat put it to him.
Yeah.
40 riders on the gate, and he is #1. And I'll tell you, that's been an interesting season for him. It's been an interesting year altogether after being back-to-back Supercross and Motocross champions as a rookie. First time that any rider had ever done that. And, you know, seconds and thirds this year, and we're wondering what's the matter.
And he was saying, nothing's the matter. I'm just going to keep doing my deal.
Having fun.
Well, the mechanic, Mike Gosler, put on the board. Enjoy it, because he will have 2 weeks of knowing that he has won 2 in a row in this series. See his dad there on the right, running down there to congratulate him. The checkered flag coming out here at Washougal, and Ryan Dungey has won it. 4 straight victories at this track, dating back to 2008. 2 in a row in the series in 2011. And Ryan Villopoto on the #2 is going to leave as your new series points leader. But he didn't come here to get second place to Ryan Dungey. So probably a little bit mixed emotions there. But as you said, no doubt how Brett Metcalfe is feeling. He is pumped up. He is going to put the Rockstar Makita Suzuki on the podium with 3rd place in this moto. And I believe that would put him in 3rd overall as well. Chad Reed was challenged by Brayton all the way down to the checkered flag. Reed on the 22 will hold him. Brayton did not give up, and neither did Alessi. Where did he come from? He got to 6th. He passed Hahn late, and he nearly ran down both of them.
Reed and Alessi, 4th and 6th, only 2 seconds separating the two.
And there's the mechanic for Dungey, Mike Gosler, arguably the most successful mechanic in the history of this sport. He's just guided his man to yet another win. We'll talk to him when we return.
Every rider is measured by...
Chad Reed not on the podium today, but he did stop to talk to Aaron Bates. Aaron?
Chad Reed's got true grit on the back of his pants, and Chad, you managed to salvage 4th place today. After the horrific crash you experienced last weekend, did the 2-week break, could it come at a better time for you?
I need it. It's no excuses, you know, it's the schedule, and last week took it out of me. I didn't have a whole lot to give today, and to get a bad start in the first one and come back to 7th, you know, I'll take that, and I really wanted to try and get a podium there in the second one, but I just couldn't hold off Matty. He was just, I just wasn't up for it today. So, you know, we'll regroup and come back and try to bridge that gap. Sucks to lose the red plate, but for what it could have been after a crash like that, I think we're sitting not too bad.
Get a well-deserved rest. We'll see you in Unadilla.
Yeah, he has held that red plate, which the series points leader has since round 1, but it's going to be handed over to Ryan Villopoto today. Meanwhile, Ryan Dungey getting himself the overall victory, sharing some podium space in this moto with his teammate Brett Metcalfe. We'll be back to talk to all those boys when we return. The moto is complete. Let's show you how it broke down with our Lucas Oil race recap. This changed everything. Trey Canard was in 4th. This huge crash and the Honda rider had to take medical attention, so we had to bring out a red flag. Ryan Villopoto was leading this race when the red flag came out. When we restarted it, there's Villopoto in the number 2. Gets pushed a little wide. Ryan Dungey takes the lead. Villopoto attacked him hard after that. But he couldn't hold, he couldn't get around. Meanwhile, Reed was in 3rd. Brett Metcalfe made the move around the 22 to take the podium spot away. Villopoto couldn't hang with Dungey all the way to the finish. Dungey wins the moto. That gives him the overall over Villopoto. And Metcalfe, with this good, strong ride, finished 3rd in the race and 3rd overall. Let's send it down to Aaron Bates with our winner.
A dominating performance today by Ryan Dungey. And Ryan, you were just out of control, in control out there, everything you could possibly be. Take us through this track and what it means to come out on top.
It means a lot. You know, I mean, we need to keep winning these races. That's the goal, and each and every weekend out. But that second, we had a restart, got off to a good start, you know, and just tried to put the laps down, and had a couple mishaps, got a little hairy, but was able to come out with the overall, which was cool. You know, I think Team Rockstar Mikita Suzuki did an unbelievable job, and as well as Dunlop and my suspension guy Adam for it was working today, man. Really happy with everything, and the man above for sure.
Chad Reed's mishap last weekend, did that re-energize your motivation towards this championship?
You know, not really. I mean, absolutely. You know, you hate to see a rider crash like that. It's nasty. It's a tough sport, but I'm glad he's okay, and I think, you know, he's still in it. You know, there's a lot of racing left. Ryan Villopoto and Chad Reed, they're really going to be on my heels, so we need to go back and keep doing work. You know, it's a nonstop progress, but it's a challenge that I think myself and we all look forward to.
Enjoy that 2-week break.
Yeah, non-stop progress. Well said, Ryan Dungey. That results in this, a win in the second moto over Villopoto, Metcalfe, Reed. Brayton and Alessi really closed up on that race in 5th and 6th. Hahn, Weimer, Albertson, and Short round out the top 10. Short, tough last 2 laps for him. He lost 2 spots, both to Weimer and Albertson. And let's send it back down to the podium.
Not winning the overall here in Washougal continues to elude Ryan Villopoto, but Ryan, you're smiling, you're happy to be back up on the podium. Is there anything that you felt that you didn't leave on the table today?
You know, I got 2 really good starts, and then, you know, we had that red flag, which was a bummer because, you know, Trey got hurt, but, you know, we had to restart. I got an okay. I mean, it was a good start second, but obviously it wasn't like the first one, so just can't thank everybody at Monster Kawasaki, Dunlop for the great tires, you know, Parts Unlimited, Thor, Oakley, Renthal, everybody. Lord Jesus Christ, thank you guys, everybody.
All right, he's got the red plate. He is your new series points leader. Let's show you the overall results. Dungey and Villopoto tie on points for the day. Villopoto was 1 point ahead of Dungey in the standings coming in, so he will be 1 point ahead of him in the standings coming out of this. Metcalfe on the podium in 3rd overall. Reed and Brayton 4th and 5th. Let's send it back down to Aaron.
Brett Metcalfe told me he doesn't like the word mojo, but you got your swagger back. And Brett, what is it about here in Washougal? Every time, every year, it seems that this is where it turns around for you.
Well, quick shout out to D. Smith. It's my swagger right there. But, man, I don't know, every year I come here, I get better and better. And early on, I had a lot of crashes, so I hated it. But now I love it. So just happy to do it for the Rockstar Mikita Suzuki, get it up there. Dunlop ties, got a great start this weekend, which helped. So I just had fun today. You know, I tried to take a little pressure off my shoulders. Just go out there and enjoy it. Love being here, and I had a great time.
Congratulations on a job well done today.
In this ultra-dynamic points chase, look at how much it's changed now. Villopoto and Dungey are close, and Reed is right there as well. It doesn't get much tighter than that. Metcalfe solid 4th in the series. Fuel your passion for motorcycle racing with Speed Motorcycle Text Alerts powered by Yamaha. Get the latest motor racing results and breaking news as soon as they become available, sent right to your phone. Text MOTO, that's Moto, to Speed 3 for all the alerts. Do it right now. That thing actually lights up. Check out that trophy. It actually lights up.
I've never got a trophy that I had to plug in to the wall socket. That I'm so jealous right now.
Man, that's cool. All right, let's give you the Toyota upcoming schedule, of which none of the races, I believe, will have lighted trophies. Sorry, guys. We'll take 2 weeks off, then we're racing at Unadilla in New Berlin, New York. NBC will have the second Moto 450 coverage of that one live at 3 p.m. Eastern. Then we have another weekend off. Go to the Sand Track of Southwick, Massachusetts, Steel City in Delmont, Pennsylvania, and we'll have our finale live on Speed from Pala, California, just outside of San Diego. 4 rounds and 8 motos remain. That's your Toyota moving forward schedule in one of the greatest AMA Motocross Championship chases we have ever seen.